What is this? What is this 10? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say 512. Good. Sorry. Yes, I'm ready with X and Y. Sorry about that. Very good. So let me share my screen. We go to the calculator. We enter the data in list L1 and list L2. Where are you guys? I see you. Okay. So here it is in stats. Edit. Clear list L1. Clear list L2. And enter 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly in the same appropriate order because they are ordered pairs together, right? 1, 2, 5, and 9. Then we get out of there with second and quit, so we go to stats. All the way to test. No, to calculations. Number 4, linear regression. And this is list L1 is X, list L2. I want the calculator, not all calculators have this feature though, don't get scared, to store the equation, and I'm going to store it in variable y1. I don't want to type it in, I want the calculator to type it in and calculate. And I also have the correlation coefficient, how strong the relationship it is. So the correlation coefficient is R. We didn't talk about it, you don't need it. It's right here. The relationship is very strong, positive, almost close to 1. R can be -1 to 1. So it's very good. I replace A by 2.7 and I replace B by -2.5. Is this what you needed?
So on the homework it says to do it without the calculator. Is there going to be any...
We talked about that last time, right? Somebody else asked about it. And we said, did I show you in class without the calculator? No, I didn't say that. So the answer is no. Okay. You're gonna just have to fill out tons of forms and, you know, formulas, I meant to say, and numbers, and calculate. No. No, I'm not going to do that to you. And besides, in class, I didn't show any of those steps. I only showed a direct solution. I will not ask you to do anything else, promise. Now, if we're asked to predict, we really don't want to be too far out. But for example, if they say for x equals 7, you just plug it in and determine. And the calculator already has that function in. If you go to y equals, you will see this function is plugged in already. I don't like the way it is presented. You should not have the plus and minus. That's not okay. I didn't mean to do that. I just meant to copy, to just delete the plus or minus. So 2.7. It's not a big deal, it's an easy one, and minus 2.5. Not plus and then minus. That's awful. And then the second in table, and I just plug in what I need. And normally, we should plug in and predict within the range between, between x equals 1 and 4, but not too far out of 4. So if I want to predict 78, it's not going to be reliable, because the information was given for x between 1 and 4. Even 7 is outside of the range. So if I want to predict for 2.5, then I can. And that will be reliable. For 2.5 is 4.25. But if I want to go to -5, the equation may not be valid at -5. But if I'm asked to determine or predict, I will say, yes, can I predict? Yeah. Is it reliable? No. No, not if it's outside of 1 through 4. Because we don't know if the equation is still valid. Good. Very good question. Are we clear with this? Are we in the clear with this question, everyone? Yeah. Exactly the same thing with the exponential regression. So if you're asked to do or find the exponential regression, you go to the same steps, through the same steps, the same in calculations, and you have right here, where is my exponential? Right here. I think that not all calculators have the exponential regression. Let me know. All the steps are identical. Instead of choosing number 4, you will choose number 0. Good. Very good question. Next step. Anything else you would like to work on? Anything?
Anti-differentiation?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, I have the function s m of x equals 0.24 x squared plus 4x plus 10.
Very good. So this is basically the indefinite integral. That's all it means. So in case we are asked to find the most general antiderivative, all I have to write is 0.24 x to the third over 3 plus 4 x squared over 2 plus 10x, and do not forget the constant c. Because this is a family of functions all for any c, infinitely many numbers. When we differentiate this, we will get that. Yes, I have to clean it up a little bit. So 0.08 x cubed and plus 2x squared and plus 10x and plus c. This is it. The most general antiderivative. Next question. Anything?
Can you do that problem with the squares method, like when you draw squares underneath the curve or rectangles?
Only if you give me an interval. The indefinite integral is a function. The definite integral is a constant. Only if you give me an interval. Otherwise, no.
Okay, can you try it with like 0 to 2?
So we can use the limit of the Riemann sum, but we haven't discussed those identities. Or in that case, you have to give me a number of subintervals.
It generally says 4.
Okay, perfect. So in that case, we are asked to find the area, which is the integral from 0 to 2 from f of x dx. 0.24x squared plus 4x plus 10 dx. And I will not calculate it because I'm not asked to determine the exact area. This is the exact. I'm asked to approximate the area between 0 and 2 under the graph of f of x, under the graph of f of x between 0 and 2 with 4 subintervals. But can I determine the exact area? Of course I can. So this is the exact. But apparently this is not what we want. We want to approximate. Now, the question is, we want to use the leftmost point, rightmost point, or midpoint? Because we presented all three in class.
Midpoint.
Good. So let's choose the midpoint. The midpoint is the best. Perfect choice. So at that time, when I start, at this moment, when I start the process, I have to picture the interval, which we chose 0 to 2, and divide it in 4 equally of equal length, 4 intervals of equal length. So this is 1, this is 0.5, and this is 1.5. Since we decided to work with the midpoint, then I have to determine this point, this point, this point, and this point. No problem. 0.25, 0.75, 1.25, and 1.75. These will be the heights. So then, the area with mid 4 equals delta x base times height plus base times height plus base times height, whatever the function is. So the base of all these subintervals, the length of, or width if you want, of these subintervals is 0.5. So I will pull it out. F of 0.25 plus F of 0.75 plus F of 1.25 plus F of 1.75. And this will be the answer. So with the graphing calculator, what I recommend, I know there are other ways, right, to determine this, determine this, determine this, determine this, add them up, multiply by 0.5. I want to show you a different way. So go to stats and edit. I only need to clear list L1. For now, I will clear both. To enter first the x values. And the x values are 4, 0.25, 0.75, 1.25, those are the midpoints, and 1.75. In list L2, go highlight list L2. And now I will put a formula in here so the calculator gives me all the answers at once. So here's the formula. The 0.5 in front, left parenthesis. I have 0.24x squared. So 0.24 multiplied by x squared is in list L1. So list L1 squared plus 4x, which means 4 times list L1. And finally plus 10. Close the parenthesis. So now when I hit enter, the calculator will do this. 0.5 times 0.24 times 0.25 squared plus 4 times 0.25 plus 10. And it will put a number here. And it will repeat for the other 4. So I press enter, all 4 numbers pop up at once. And now I go out of there, second and quit, and go back to stats and do one variable stats. And we know this symbol. Oh, not yet. I didn't. So I do not want list L1. Careful. I want to add up everything I have in list L2, not L1. So calculate. And it gives me the sum. The sum of all base times height plus base times height, all 4. 28.63. That is the best way to perform this calculation. I enter the x values, and in list L2, I enter 0.5, in other words, right? So it's 0.5 times the function of L1, and then plus the second row, 0.5 times the function evaluated at 0.75, and so on and so forth. And I get this when I create one variable stats. It's very tedious to put this in the function, the quadratic function, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. Not impossible, but I think that this is the shortcut. Very good question. Thank you. Any questions on this?
If we were given one of these problems like on the test, are we allowed to pick if we do like left, right, or midpoint, or is there like a certain one?
If it says, you have to use what it says, so I can check the answers and not do all 3.
Okay.
If it doesn't say, then I'm happy with any one. Well, it doesn't, you know, it's not a big difference, but it will be a difference. If I use the leftmost point, I will use 0, 0.5, 1, and 1.5. If I use the right point, I will have to use 0.5, 1, 1.5, and 2, and they will not be the same. The final answer will not be the same. Very good questions.